Oh, yes. Well, hi, how are you? I'm George Kilpatrick, and I'm the host of the United Democrats of Onondaga County's Facebook Live chat. Today, we're meeting Michael Greene, who is a candidate for council at large. Well, he currently is a council at large. He'll explain all that for you in just a moment. But if you live in the city of Syracuse, a perfect opportunity for you to ask questions of Michael about everything from trash collection to services to hot dogs. You can answer your questions right now. Just follow us along as we find out a little bit more about Michael and what he hopes to do as council at large. But most importantly, we want to hear from you. And so we're in a cozy little place.
Yeah.
Not new home for you.
Yeah, just this summer we moved in.
And you were formerly a downtown resident.
That's right. Yeah, we used to live right in Armory Square.
Right, perfect. So tell us a bit about your background.
Sure. So originally I'm from Onondaga Hill. I grew up in that neighborhood. Went to West Genesee High School, and from there I went to Cornell University. I was
Go Big Red, yes.
I was industrial and labor relations major. So I did that. I negotiated labor contracts at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey for about 5 years.
And you survived. That's good.
Yeah, I did that. I was there during Bridgegate with
really?
Yep, I was there for that time period. So that was good. And then I did my MBA at Baruch. So I did entrepreneurship down there at night school, basically. And then from there, I worked at the New York City Economic Development Corporation. So I did that. Basically trying to manage city-owned properties to create more jobs for city residents. So I did that and then moved home about 3 years ago. Moved to Armory Square with my wife, and so then last year I ran for office. I ran in the 4th district, lost the Democratic primary, and then this year when Helen Hudson became President Helen Hudson of the Common Council, I was appointed to fill her seat, so I've been serving since January.
It's interesting. So when you moved from the city, Armory Square must have felt like, well, this is the next best thing, right?
Well, it was a good transition. My wife's from San Diego and New York City, so she's not from the area. So it was always going to be a little bit of a dramatic change from Manhattan to Syracuse, but Armory Square was a good transition.
So you did it for the missus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's fabulous. And Kip is running around, so you might hear him every now and then, but that's okay. But again, just reminding Michael Greene, council at large candidate, looking for your questions. So so what was it like for you downtown? You were there at a great time with a lot of residents moving in, a lot more people young. I want to call you a youngin, but
pretty young.
Yes. So a lot. When you're downtown now, see a lot of people walking their dogs. It has really transformed into a neighborhood.
Yeah, and I think it's such an important thing for the whole region. I mean, the city especially, but the whole region. I mean, I think whenever you're from this area and you have visitors, you're probably going to take them downtown.
Right.
That's the cultural heart of the region, right? So I think we've seen a lot of not only residents, but restaurants, bars, kind of cultural attractions down there. And I think having more people there, having more pedestrians, having more activity is just so important in the city. So I'm really encouraged by the new residents moving in, new business moving in, because it is a great place to live for young people, as well as empty nesters that are retired, as well as anyone that's looking to meet people. We made a bunch of good friends that live downtown, so it was a great time.
And a lot of new hotel, the Syracuse Hotel, Marriott, Syracuse downtown, online now. So you have some new attractions as well for out-of-town visitors.
Yeah, and so one of the things I could talk about too, I'm on the board of SEDCO, which is the Syracuse Economic Development.
Which I was going to ask you about, because if you were in the New York City Economic Development Corporation, I said, well, what about SEDCO?
Yeah, so I'm on the board of SEDCO, and what we basically do is we look at businesses that are local that might need extra capital to grow, right? So whether it be Freedom of Espresso trying to open a new location, or an existing business that wants to just add seating or do something like that, we provide low interest loans for them to grow. So we're seeing a lot of them downtown, but we also want to see them out in the neighborhoods as well. Like Water Street Bagel Company. I don't know
yes, I've had one.
Yep. So it's great, and that's the kind of activity you want to see, is more local businesses downtown. So we're seeing a lot of activity there, but one of the things we do want to see is more loans going towards the business corridor, so South Ave, Salina Street, James Street, places like that, and get more commercial activities there as well.
All right, just a reminder one more time, live here on a Monday night, we're with Michael Greene. He is a candidate for the Syracuse City Council at Large seat, and you have questions about city services and things you want to see happening in the city. We're live for you right now. I'm just going to remind you a couple of times till you get the point, and if you have a question, don't forget to type it in right now. And was downtown the other day, and I saw something. I know I'm on downtown, and you want to talk about neighborhoods, and I'm gonna get there in a second.
Yeah.
But the War Memorial has a new, what is that, marquee?
Yeah, on the outside.
How fabulous is that?
No,
right?
it's great. And I think that's something that, that kind of corner of downtown, with the hotel and hopefully some other developments coming there, it'll get a little more activity there, which I think is great. And then the War Memorial renovations are, an important part of that. Having, concerts there, crunch games, provides a economic shot in the arm. So it's helpful.
Yeah, it's a real important, one of the tools in our community that people are attracted to. Let's talk about the airport. When will it be done? You serve on the airport committee.
Yeah, so I'm on the airport committee, but obviously there's an independent authority that
Yes,
does
it
the
is.
airport.
Yeah,
So I'm not an expert on the construction there or anything like that, but I know it is supposed to be done in the next couple months. I've flown out of there. It's not a pleasant experience right now, but you can start to see some of the improvements, and it is going to be a much more pleasant place to fly out of once it's done. So hopefully it will end up being worth it in the end.
So what's the role of the council now that the airport is an authority and not necessarily run by the city, or is it?
Well, no. So the airport authority is its own independent board, right?
Mhm.
That has appointees from different local governments. So
Right.
county executive, the mayor has some.
Towns around, town of DeWitt.
Yeah, I think one of the
Down
school
Cicero.
districts.
Yeah, East Syracuse. Yeah. Mhm.
So the council, ultimately the land is still owned by the city of Syracuse. So that's kind of what the council's role is just kind of like a long-term lease. We still own the property, but the actual operating of the airport itself is mostly administered by the actual authority. Councilor Bay, he's on the board itself, so the council does have a representative on there.
So there was some council business that happened today that you had a hand in. What? Tell me. I'm trying to find the right pun, but I'm not going to get there. So I'm just going to say, keep on trucking.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, I've been working on this for the last couple of months, is trying to get more food trucks in the city of Syracuse. So currently we have one food truck operating in the right of way. We're a city of 145,000 people, so clearly having one leaves us far short of what other cities are doing.
So let me get this straight. So when I see food trucks at different places, those are just special events or one-time only things?
So probably you're seeing them on private property. So
Okay.
that is kind of a separate set of rules. This is talking about in the public right of way. So city streets, city parks, areas like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me what your legislation is.
Sure. So right now, the current legislation prior to today was that you put $500 in as a truck. You got submitted into a lottery. Based on how you did in the lottery, you could then pick one location. So what the food truck owners didn't like about it is they were still paying $1,500 on top of the $500 to get their location, and then they were stuck in there the whole year. Their whole point of their business is that they like being mobile and they want to be able to move around based on different events. So they didn't like being stuck in that location, and they also didn't like it because people would park in their spot anyway, and then they'd have to call the police and come and tow them, and it just didn't work for them. So that's why you only saw one. There's one on East Fayette Street, Lady Lunchbox or something like that. She's the only one that currently operates in her city.
East Fayette Street, right next to the barber shop?
Firefighters Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Firefighters Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. So that was it. So what we did is we looked at best practices in other parts of the country. So whether it be Austin, Portland, Seattle, Philadelphia, places that have a vibrant food truck culture, because I saw a lot of benefits to it. For one, it's just cool being able to eat good food and having good options and that quality of life benefit. For two, there's a lot of people that you might know and I might know that are good cooks, but maybe don't have the capital to open a whole restaurant. And this is kind of that intermediate step where they can become business owners, work on a business plan, and grow from there. And then to that point, you can see a lot of food trucks graduate and becoming full restaurants, and now they're hiring people. They're contributing economically to the community in a very meaningful way. So I thought it was something that was kind of a low-hanging fruit that we could clearly improve on, and legislation wasn't great. So what we did was we cut the fee to $500, and that $500 gives you access to a series of locations around the city that you can operate in. So we added some downtown, we added some near city parks, and different commercial corridors that were underutilized and didn't have existing restaurants. So we consulted with different food truck operators. We consulted with the I-Team and the city of Syracuse to find data of where locations would be good. And we're hoping that the result is going to be positive.
So if I have a food truck and I'm used to parking outside of the federal building, now I can go somewhere else, or does somebody else already have my spot? Like, how does it actually work?
So right now there is no, there's no one outside the federal building. No one's doing it at all. But under the new system, it would be unreserved parking. So you just have, there's a series of blocks that we put in there, and you can park there if you can get a spot. Okay. So it's not as though we're blocking it off. If a car parks there, you got to find a spot.
Let me ask you this: so if I get there before you, that's my spot, and you got to find another spot.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Kind of open.
And when you talk to food trucks, what they say is that they actually feel like there's strength in numbers. They want to be around other food trucks because it creates kind of a destination.
Like Restaurant Row or something like that, when you see a lot of restaurants.
And you might go out to lunch with your coworker and you like tacos and he likes pizza, and the fact that those trucks are near each other kind of makes you both happy.
No, and then for the festivals, that's a whole different thing, right?
A lot of those festivals are operated by private operators, so that'd be separate. But we are looking at trying to get a once-a-week food truck rodeo, hopefully in Clinton Square. So
I'm really into this food truck thing. So let me ask you this: so what if there's a festival over there, but I come and I park across the street from the festival? Can I do that?
Yeah, so we did think about that, and we set a limit. I think it's 1,000 feet. That when anytime there's a city event, you need to be a certain distance away from it.
Right, so that you can still get some of the
pirate the business. Yeah.
Which people do. Right. They actually do that. All right, we're talking with Michael Greene. A reminder: if you have a question about city services and you want to ask a question, please do so. Now, I know the hot dog vendors. They had some questions for you. You said you have a meeting with them?
Yeah, so I mean, what I would say is to distinguish it. First of all, right now there's one food truck operating. There's 11 vendors, right? So when we looked at what needed to be improved most, clearly the trucks was the thing that wasn't working, right? Now, so there are stand operators that are saying, I would like to pay less, which is a very rational thing to say, right?
Right.
So, So what we're doing next week is meeting with them to kind of figure out what they would like to see, and then do research to figure out what best practices are, because what we're proposing for the trucks wouldn't work for them, right? Because we're saying unreserved parking can go anywhere. The stands need to be in one spot, so they need to keep that lottery system or something similar to that where they have a clear location.
So you've been on the council since January. What have you learned?
Well, that's a good question. So I think you learn that how challenging it can be to enact change, right? So I think from the outside you can just say, well, this is a good idea, we should just implement it. And the reality, same with food trucks, right? So for that to get done, I needed to meet with different departments in the city, including neighborhood business development, the Syracuse Police weighed in, the Syracuse Fire Department weighed in, zoning weighed in, planning department weighed in, and then you've got to get the votes from the council. You've got to talk to the mayor's office to make sure they're on board. You've got to do legal research, and that takes weeks, and you've got to be patient.
All right. So, okay. We're back, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're back. Yeah. Great. Just we got a technology thing going on. So why did you ran in the primary in the 4th district? What was your motivation for wanting to get into politics?
Well, I'm a believer in generally that government should be a force for good in people's lives, right? And I think right now, when you look at what's going on nationally, it's not. And I think that you have a national government that is, not only mean-spirited, but also just generally incompetent, right? And unable to kind of have a positive impact on people's lives. And that kind of negativity can be discouraging to people. And I just strongly believe that local government should be a force for innovation. It should be a force for positive change in people's lives. And for me, I thought, my background was a somewhat unique background, and I had a perspective to bring that I thought would be helpful. So, I think from one, just generally on a local level, I think it's important to get involved in politics and do the best you can. But then also, I think Syracuse is a city that's kind of, needs help, right? I mean, I think we have, unemployment issues, we have poverty issues, we have a lot of different challenges we're going to be facing over the next couple decades, and it's important to get the best people we can to work on. I mean, I thought I could help with that, and I was, excited to try to work on it.
Is that why people should vote for you?
Yeah, I mean, people should make up their own mind, but I mean, what I will say is I'm an honest person that works really hard, and I have my own ideas of things that I think can improve the city. So I'm going to be working as hard as I can to implement them.
All right, so let's talk about what are some of the ideas that you have to improve the city?
Well, I mean, I think I would say the three kind of main buckets I would say are, for one, trying to make it healthier to live in the city in your homes, right? So one of the things we voted on this year was rental registry legislation, where you have historically certain slumlords, candidly, that operate in the city of Syracuse and don't have healthy housing for their residents. So we enacted rental registration to try to alleviate that to a degree, and we need to build on that. We need to make sure we're doing a good job inspecting housing to make sure it's up to code. So I think that's something we're going to be working on. To that point, also, we have a lead poisoning issue in the city of Syracuse. So going forward, Councilor Driscoll's been working on this a lot, and we need to leverage private partners from nonprofits, from county government, and to be able to attack this problem, because it's unacceptable in 2018 to have the percentage of lead poisoning that we do in the city. The next thing I would say is getting around the city needs to be better. So for one, I'm an advocate of community grid for I-81. I strongly believe that would be the best thing for the community. And part of that will be increased walkability, being able to get between the university and downtown, the south side and the university, and vice versa. So I think that's important. I also think part of walkability is...
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Shovelability, because if you're going to walk in the winter, you got to have a place to walk.
That was my next thing.
Okay.
So we're the snowiest city in the country, right? And
Right.
that's going to be the case forever. So we need to have a plan for dealing with it. And our plan before was always, well, everyone should individually shovel. That's great, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it, and kids are walking in the street. People that are handicapped are riding wheelchairs in the street. It's clearly unsafe. 2 people died last year. It was unacceptable, and it continues to be unacceptable. So I worked with the mayor's administration to put together the pilot plan that Corey Driscoll announced, and what it is basically, it's 20 miles in the city that are high traffic areas that we're going to engage with private contractors to plow the sidewalks. And my goal would be to gradually expand that, and I'd like to see it citywide. I'd like to see all the sidewalks in the city clear, because it's one of the things of living in a city is you should be able to walk around it. And right now, you can't for a lot of the months of the year. So I think that's something we need to be working towards. And then the last thing I would say is just opportunity. There needs to be more job opportunities for people, whether it be continuing to work with SEDCO, or other small business opportunities. People need to feel like there's a chance for them to get ahead economically. So that would be the last thing.
Michael Greene is our candidate for the council at large seat here in the city of Syracuse. We're live on Facebook right now, Monday night. Not sure how much time we have left, because my camera guy, there he is. Okay, not a lot of time left, so you need to get over there and get your question answered. You live in the city, you have questions, concerns, comments, we would love to answer them live right now for you, for Michael Greene, who's seeking election as a Democrat. And I'm interested because part of what we feel, well, there's a couple things. Let me go back to 2 young people were shot this weekend. And so violence amongst young people, and either through being killed or shot or injured, has a lot of people concerned. From your perspective, what can be done about that? What can you do about that?
It's a super challenging problem, right? Because you're looking at a confluence of poverty, where people feel like they don't have other economic means of getting ahead in life, so they'll resort to violence and gangs. But I think one of the immediate things we need to do is we need to do a better job of establishing trust between our police department and our residents, right? I think a lot of the times you're seeing these crimes go unresolved because people won't share what they might know with the police, right? So I think we need to do just a better job of establishing that trust. And I think, part of the thing we're going to see in the next couple of months is we're going to see a new chief, right? And it's going to need to be someone that's going to set that tone. That's going to set the tone that people feel like they can trust the police department, and that he's going to provide the training that the officers need, and that he's going to be the type of leader that's going to inspire, the community and the police to work well together. So there's no easy answers at all for this, but we just need to work together better as a community to try to establish more trust.
Let's talk about personally, hobbies.
Sure. Well, I mean, lately I've had no hobbies.
Because you've campaigned.
I got married, I campaigned, I bought a house, I got a puppy. So,
yes. That's a little pup. That's a puppy?
He's a year old, yeah.
Really? Okay, all right.
Yeah, a lot of energy. So that keeps us busy.
Yes.
I played baseball, in college and high school. That's a big passion of mine, playing that. I graduated from, or not graduated, promoted from baseball to softball, and now I'm all the way down to kickball. So gradually, next I'm going to be playing like video games. I don't know, but so I do that. I used to do more distance running. I'm kind of trying to get back into that as well.
Okay. Half marathon coming up.
Yeah, I can't do it right.
Okay.
I'm not in shape for that. But yeah, so those are interesting things. And then I'm a big Syracuse University fan, so I'm season ticket holder for football. I go to those games. So that's good. And then my wife and I have been gradually watching all the episodes of West Wing. So we're on to the last season now. So that's been an exciting development, watching that come down.
Love it. And so World Series tomorrow. Pick a team.
So I'm a Phillies fan.
Okay.
So it's tough. I guess I don't really feel strong between the Dodgers or the Red Sox. But I do love Fenway, so I'll just give it to the Red Sox.
Okay, that was not the right answer, but we'll just keep that moving. We'll just keep that moving. Here's one thing we can talk about: the Mets, the new Syracuse Mets. Good deal for the city. No?
So I'm a Phillies fan, so I
So
don't
here
like
we
the
go
name.
again.
I don't like the name, but I mean
that's tough, right? It's tough.
But I am, I'm a baseball fan, and I do think we need to have a long-term solution to make sure that team's here. So to that extent, I'm grateful that we can have that long-term viability. The lease goes now to 2043.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's going to be baseball in this community for the foreseeable future, I think it's a great thing.
One of the things that you're an example of a young person who came back home and brought your wife with you who was not from here. So what's it going to take to get more people like yourself to reconsider coming back home? Because they're all over the country. We've raised them and we send them off, and that's a great thing. But how do what's the secret, you think, to maintaining a vibrant community that has young people who want to contribute?
It's jobs, right? So I mean, I think
bottom line, right?
That was the biggest thing for us moving back is
you had a job, or you had opportunity?
Yeah, it took a while to find the type of job that was a fit for the experience I had, and same thing for my wife. So that's the biggest thing. I think downtown helps with that too, right? Because downtown creates this kind of sense of community that reminds people of what they might see in Boston or Philly or New York. So I think that's a positive development. But ultimately, we're going to need to have opportunities for people to not only move back, but to stay here. That might come right out of college, and rather than moving to New York, they might stay here the whole time and feel like they have a good opportunity. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
Well, so the next question then is, what influence or what impact do we have, or can we have on that? Working with the education, are there training? Is there training that needs to be improved? What do you do, by the way?
So currently I'm a property manager, so I manage office buildings out in DeWitt.
That's what I thought. I knew I read that you were in commercial real estate, if you will. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think?
So I think we need to be strategic about how we look to grow the job market in Syracuse, right? So I think we look at the competitive advantages that we have now. One of them emerging is the drone industry, which actually is kind of an interesting thing because
Right.
it's going to be a big industry over the next 10 to 20 years.
And we're sort of leading the way, right?
We're leading the way, and there's so many commercial uses for it, whether it be package delivery, insurance companies using it to inspect roofs, or roofing companies using it to get quotes for roofs, or there's many other uses for crops, for various things. So I think we're well positioned to do well in that area, and I think we need to continue to leverage the investments we've had. I think in general, our approach should be one where we're looking at existing local businesses and going to them and saying, what do you need to grow? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think our approach should ever be to look at an Amazon or someone like that and just throw them bags of money to come here. That's ultimately not a sustainable plan, right? Like if you're competing based on low taxes or benefits, that's a short-term advantage that ultimately they're going to move away the next time something like that comes up. But if you can take local companies that are rooted here, that their founders are here, and just give them room to grow, that's ultimately going to be jobs that are going to stay in the long term. So, I think one of our advantages here is cost of living is lower than a lot of other places. So, employees can, get a job here and buy a house and do things like that. So, I think we got to look at the industries that we have knowledge in, and part of it's going to be leveraging Syracuse University and Des Moines and Undoubted Community College. So, I think we need to do just a better job of leveraging that.
You talked earlier about constituencies and talking to get the food truck legislation, how the effort that you had to put in to get that done. And I'm wondering, what is it going to take to convince people that your favorite option, the community grid plan for I-81, is the best plan? What is it going to take?
Well, that's a challenge, right? Because I think you see a real divide between city versus suburb on this, unfortunately, right? I mean,
Most city people want to
I think
suburbanize.
the vast majority of city residents are in favor of it. And I think you see a lot of suburban residents that maybe don't have all the facts on it, haven't read it, but they just have this general sense that if there's no 81, it's going to be chaos, right? Well, the studies that I've done will show 2 to 3 minutes average commute increase for people cutting through the city. So I think it's about getting the word out to people, have them understand that the impact won't be that bad. But then also talking about the opportunities that if we're able to link the University Hill to downtown, not only is it a more walkable community, but all that land that's currently kind of overshadowed by 81 now can be developed into mixed income, mixed use development. That's going to create all kinds of tax dollars that are going to come into the city, that are going to put us on a long-term plan to be fiscally sustainable. So it's just such an imperative thing for the city to have that work.
What's the relationship like with the mayor?
I get along well with Ben, and he's a good guy, and he's someone that genuinely cares about the city and wants to do well, and that's not every single person in politics, right? So I do enjoy working with him, and I'm encouraged to continue to work together.
What about affordable housing? We are you mentioned this earlier, that a city that has a high rate of poverty leading the nation, and part of that is, where do I live? If I don't have affordable housing, and a lot of the developments that we're seeing does not it's affordable if you have a job and you have a good income. But someone said this to me, and I've heard this in other places, that what can the city do to encourage more mixed, when I say mixed use, not necessarily mixed income, so that there's a mix, because that's what can build neighborhoods and help people, I guess.
Yeah. So I think the thing I would say first is, having lived in New York, right, where you see gentrification, and what you see is, mailmen, teachers, construction workers that have lived in the neighborhood their whole life, that everything changes around them, neighborhoods get invested in, and as a result, they can't pay their rent and they need to move somewhere else. In Syracuse, last year when I was campaigning in the South Side in the 4th District, you saw people like that have, teachers that were moving out of the neighborhood, but for the exact opposite reason, that no one else in their house had any investment in the real estate, and they were sitting there with a beautiful garden and a nice front porch, and the house next to them was collapsed, and the house on the other side had weeds coming up through it. So it was almost the exact opposite problem, where we're seeing no investment in certain neighborhoods. And there's not an affordability crisis as much in Syracuse, there's a quality crisis, right? That if if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of disposable income, you can find housing, but it's just not healthy, it's not safe. So I think what we need to do is, for one, to have more, of the new developments being mixed income, but we just need more development. We need housing in, the south side, in the north side. There needs to be better housing options all around the city, and we need to do a better job of attracting private investment to make our housing stock newer and better, so that people feel like they can find, safe, affordable housing everywhere in the city.
All right, the last chance. Talk to the voters. Why you?
So I think the reason I would ask for your support is that I'm a hard worker, and I have certain ideas that I think can help sustain the economy of the city of Syracuse, and I'll do everything I can to try to implement them. And I'm also very open to ideas. So I'm available on Facebook. I'm available on Twitter. My email is mgreen@syrgov.net. So I'm very open to feedback. So if you ever have any ideas of how we can make our city better, I'd love for you to reach out to me.
And we'll forgive him for being a Red Sox fan. Michael Greene, or rooting for the Red Sox, I say. But Michael Greene, good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
He's a candidate for councilor at large in the city of Syracuse. What are those handles again on Facebook and Twitter?
So my Twitter is GreeneMC, Green with an E on the end.
Okay.
And then if you do Michael Greene, Common Council at Large, I'll be on there too. So.
There you go. All right. Good luck to you, Michael.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.